How many calories do you actually need to eat if you are breastfeeding and if you want to lose weight? So, I'm going to dive into in this episode why the eat less, move more mentality doesn't cut it for breastfeeding moms. So, if you're new here, hey there, I'm Brooke. I'm a registered dietitian, a lactation counselor, a mom of three. I've helped thousands of moms reach their healthiest weight and feel like themselves again without sacrificing their favorite foods or milk supply. And on my channel, I make postpartum nutrition and breastfeeding less complicated so that you can get results. And I post new videos every Tuesday. So make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be notified whenever I post a new video. And before we get started, hit that thumbs up button if you're going to take action on what we cover today so you can see how many other moms are supporting you. All right. So, first and foremost, our calorie needs are actually highest postpartum. Yes, you read that right. And a lot of moms are shocked by this because we just kind of assume that our calorie needs are highest while we're pregnant because that's when we're physically growing and feeding, another baby and human being inside of us. But what a lot of moms don't realize is that once we give birth, we need to recover from birth. And whether you had a C-section or a vaginal delivery, your body needs to recover. And then if you're breastfeeding, that is energy expenditure that is happening all day long. And believe it or not, our calorie needs are also increased to help support milk supply. So if you are, let's say, pumping 50 ounces a day, that's a lot. That's like an oversupply. Then you're going to need more calories than a mom who's maybe breastfeeding once or twice a day because that mom is making less milk. So our calorie needs are highest postpartum, even higher than the third trimester pregnancy. But that doesn't mean that we're just eating more and more calories and we're like, all right, I'm going to whip out all the chips and all the soda and I'm just going to eat all of that because, it's a free pass. And I see a lot of moms kind of go in with that mentality of, oh, well, I'm breastfeeding. And so I'm probably just going to lose weight naturally. And so I'm just going to eat whatever I want. This is going to be a free pass. A lot of moms have that mentality too when they're pregnant, like, oh, I'm already going to be gaining weight to give birth and to have this baby. And so it's just kind of a free pass. Like, I'll get back on track once I'm postpartum, or I'll get back on track once I've weaned. And I actually don't love or recommend that mindset or mentality. I really want, when I work with moms, the mindset that I really want moms to have when it comes to their health and nutrition is I'm going to do whatever I can to support my body in the phase of life that I'm at. I want to support my hormones, support my metabolism, make sure that my body is functioning at its best. And I can do that through nutrition. And when we do that, when we're eating the right foods to support our healing and recovery and milk supply, we're also going to notice that our energy is increased and our mood is increased, and just we're going to feel so much better. So, there are some dangers if we are cutting calories too low. So, first and foremost, we can slow down our recovery. So, if you're in the first few months postpartum, if you had a C section, a lot of blood loss, this is not the time to be cutting calories at that time. If we are cutting calories too low, we can start to see our milk supply dip too. So, in general, if you look it up and you look at all the research that has been done on lactating women, there is a lot of research and studies to show that if women are eating 1,800 calories or less in a day while breastfeeding, especially if they're breastfeeding, frequently, like every 3 to 4 hours, there are studies that show that we will see a decrease in milk supply. So, general, we should not be dipping below that. And most breastfeeding moms need well over 2,000 calories a day. And I know that some moms might hear that and think, oh my gosh, like there's no way I'm going to lose weight eating 2,000 calories a day. Like maybe you like came from a history of chronic dieting or tracking your calories and eating super low calorie, and that number scares you. And I am living proof. Listen, you can eat over 2,000 calories a day while breastfeeding and still lose weight and still keep up your milk supply. So I've been eating over 2,000 calories a day for the last year. I've lost 50 pounds and I'm still breastfeeding my 1 year old daughter, and I'm still making enough milk for her. She's only breastfeeding about 3 times a day. But again, it's really the composition of your calories that matter so much. And then there's, of course, other factors that determine how many calories we need in a day. So Our current weight plays a role and how active we are. So I'm strength training 3 to 5 days a week. And so that means that my protein needs are going to be higher than somebody who's not. Yeah, again, your current weight is going to vary. So a mom who's starting at 200 pounds is going to need a different calorie range than a mom who's starting at, let's say, 130 pounds. So these are very different hormones and metabolism that we're working with. And so the mom that's at a higher weight is going to need more protein, more calories than the mom that's at a lower weight. A mom who is, again, pumping or breastfeeding 50 ounces a day, 40 ounces a day, she's going to need more calories than a mom who is pumping, let's say, 10 ounces a day. So our calorie needs really range based on so many factors: our activity level, how many months postpartum we are, how often we're breastfeeding, how many ounces we're producing of milk. And so that's why a lot of moms come to me and they're like, just tell me exactly how many calories to eat. And I'm like, if I don't know anything about you, I can't do that. I can't just come on here on YouTube and on the podcast and say like every single mom should be eating this amount. And that is really why inside of my programs, I really encourage moms to get a macro range that is right for them based on those things. And we have guides in there. We have a bot that I've programmed that you can plug in your information. You can do a simple math equation, and it really breaks down. Okay, if you're in the first 6 months postpartum, this is how many grams of protein that you need to be eating based on your weight. And then once you're past the 6 months, then we typically adjust, or once we wean, we typically start adjusting those things. Again, if we are weightlifting or we're an oversupplier, we need to kind of adjust that as well. So there's a lot of factors, but the great news is there are some really simple ways to kind of calculate your macronutrient needs. And I actually, in my programs, I suggest moms just focus on meeting their macronutrient ranges. So if you know what your protein range is in a day and you hit that, great. If you know roughly how many grams of fiber and how many total carbs you need in a day, and you're hitting that, that's amazing. And then same thing with healthy fats, if you're hitting that range. And the cool thing is, if you are within your range for all three, or again, close to your range for all three, then you're automatically going to be getting the right calories for your body, because it's just a simple equation of, like the grams of protein, the grams of fat, and then the grams of carbohydrates. And then you can multiply that to get your total calories in a day. So you don't have to be focusing on both. And again, the composition of our calories matter so much. I've worked with moms who they are eating, let's say, 1,800 calories a day, but it's mostly processed foods and their fiber is really low, their protein's really low. Their body composition is going to look a lot different than a mom who's eating, let's say, 1,800 calories or even more a day, but she's eating lean protein, she's eating healthy fats, she's eating a lot of fiber, fruits and vegetables. Their body compositions are going to be very different. And even if they're eating the exact same amount of calories a day. So calories matter to an extent. We don't want to be under eating calories, right? We don't want to be way under eating, because there's a lot of things that come up. There's exhaustion, mood swings. We increase our risk of postpartum depression. Cravings, you are way more likely to have cravings and binge eat if we're going way too low on calories. And then again, milk supply dipping. Also, when we go way too low on our calories, we're actually decreasing our metabolic rate and our metabolism. And so in order to keep our metabolism functioning quickly and at the pace that we want, there's really two big things that play a huge role in our metabolism. One is your body composition and how much muscle mass you have. That is why strength training is like the number one thing you could be doing. So if you're like a cardio bunny, you can still do some cardio, but I really want to discourage you from thinking that you need to only do cardio. You need to be running. You need to be doing this. I hate running. I don't really do a lot of cardio. The only cardio I'm doing on a daily basis is walking, and you can walk fast. You can walk carrying your baby. You can walk with a weighted vest. Like, you can make walking challenging. We have a ton of hills in our neighborhood. I live in the foothills. And so even a walk, me pushing my stroller with my kids, carrying one of my kids, it's a workout. So you can definitely get some really great cardio in from walking. But that strength training is what's going to help maintain your muscle mass. The more muscle mass you have, the faster your metabolism is going to go, which means you're going to be burning more calories at rest. So same thing with muscle mass. Something that we can do to help maintain and gain muscle mass is eating plenty of protein. And again, like, this is something that when I have my moms come into my program, I tell them to start tracking and not to be obsessive about it. It's like, hey, let's just track a few days a week. Let's see where you're at with your protein and fiber, because almost every single mom that I work with, they are under eating protein and fiber. And when we just shift our focus to let's try to get more of our calories from protein, you're going to feel more satisfied. You're going to have less cravings. You're going to have better mood, better energy, and it's going to help shift your body composition. So when moms come to me and say, like, I want to lose weight, really what so many of them are wanting is they're wanting to lose fat mass, but they're wanting to maintain lean muscle mass or even gain muscle mass, because that is where our clothes are going to fit better. We're going to just feel better. Again, the more muscle mass that we have, we're going to be able to keep up with our kids, lift them. Those are the types of wins that moms are wanting. So again, our calorie needs are going to vary based on all of those factors. If we're going too low of calories, or sometimes we're meeting our calorie needs, but the composition of our calories is really poor and we're way under eating protein or way under eating fiber, then where you're going to see signs and symptoms for those things are, again, low milk supply, energy crashes, mood swings, cravings. So if you are experiencing any of those things postpartum, then likely you're either eating not enough calories or your composition of calories needs to be adjusted. Again, our quality of calories are so, so, so crucial. Again, to an extent, our calories matter, like getting down to the exact number, but we can get obsessive about it. And in this stage of life, like we don't have time to be obsessively tracking our calories every single day for the rest of our life and taking care of our baby. And I actually don't encourage moms to do that. But I do think tracking your macros for a few days a week will give you that awareness of, hey, here are some things that I really need to add into my diet, some things I need to shift in my diet. That's going to give you just a good pulse on where you're at and where adjustments need to make and how you can really shift that quality of calories that you're eating. So again, I know that a lot of moms are coming to this video wanting an exact clear-cut answer, but I'm here to tell you there are simple ways to figure that out once you understand kind of where you're at in terms of, whether you had a vaginal birth, C-section, how many months postpartum you are, how often you're pumping, how active you are. Like there's so many factors involved. And so we really need to take a look at that. And that's why every single mom is so unique. And that might be why one of your mom friends can eat 2,500 calories a day while breastfeeding and like drop weight like crazy. But then another mom may need closer to 2,000 calories in a day to really get her metabolism and hormones functioning where they're at. Along with calories, some things that we really need to also pay attention to are blood sugar regulation. So timing of meals really does matter. If we're going way, way, way too long without eating, our blood sugar can crash and then it can spike. Something else that we also need to pay attention to, especially postpartum, are the vitamins and mineral composition. And so when we're looking at our total calories, when we're getting more of our calories from fruits and vegetables and, those high quality proteins, then we are going to get more of the micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals. And again, when our blood sugar is balanced, when we're getting our vitamins and minerals, when we're eating enough protein and fiber, not only are we going to see shifts in our body composition, we are going to feel so much better. I promise you, like you will have so much better improved energy and you're going to see less cravings, better mood. I just remember walking in to my 6-week postpartum check with my third daughter and the OB's like, you look great. And she wasn't talking about like my weight specifically or anything. She said, you just look very well rested. Like, is she sleeping well? And I'm like, no, actually, she's 13 months, turning 13 months this month. And to be honest, you guys, we have not even sleep trained. I think after last night, we're like, I think it's time. Right. But like my daughter has not slept through the night in 13 months. Like I'm not getting the best quality sleep that I could. And my second son, same thing. Like we didn't sleep train him till he was 15 months. And my first son, I was pumping every 3 hours. He had open heart surgery. He was on oxygen. So for all 3 of my kids in that first year postpartum, I was not like this lucky mom in terms of sleep, right? I wasn't getting huge stretches of sleep. And I would have people comment all the time, oh my gosh, you're so energized. How do you have all the energy to work out and do all these things and chase them around? Like you're super mom. And truly like my secret was focusing on meeting my protein needs, increasing my fiber, walking, getting that sunshine, getting back into strength training, which again, walking and strength training are something that I really look forward to and enjoy. But once you start fueling your body well, all of the other things in your life just become easier. It is literally that first domino to fall. So if you're hearing this, again, let's not focus on restriction and eating less and eating less and eating less. Instead, let's shift our mindset to how can we eat more quality calories? How can we try to get the nutrient dense foods on our plate that make our bodies feel good? And can I start paying attention to how certain foods make my body feel, right? If I eat 2 cookies, especially on an empty stomach, I know I'm not going to feel good. I'm going to have a blood sugar crash. I'm not going to feel good. It's not the most nutrient dense choice I could make. And I can learn from that. I can say, hey, I have permission to eat those cookies, but I know what it does to my body. I know how I feel when I eat that. So instead, I'm going to choose to eat something different that might be the same amount of calories, but it might be something that is going to keep me full and satisfied and actually make me feel better. And so, really starting to have awareness is that first step. And then picking one meal to start with to get really consistent with making it balanced. And my suggestion is always breakfast there. So, when you take action of what you've learned today, be sure to come back to this video. Just share in the comments what things stood out to you or what thing are you implementing so that I can cheer you on. If this was helpful, make sure to subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification so you can be notified whenever we have a new video every Tuesday. And of course, don't forget to come hang out with me over on Instagram at Nutrition for Mamas. I actually just got the sweetest DM yesterday from a mom. She said, I've been listening to your podcast and it just hits home. She's like, this is exactly what I've been needing to hear with my journey. She shared a little bit about her postpartum journey. And it was just, honestly, I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing that this podcast has helped you in any sort of way get healthier and have a better postpartum and breastfeeding experience. It just makes me so happy. And if you want to learn more about my programs, you can go ahead and check out my free class below where I will walk you through that 3-step method that I use with my postpartum clients that's helped thousands of them reach their healthiest weight and feel their best after baby. And remember, you deserve to feel good again.